number one reason why you're probably still single at 18, 20, 21, 23 is because you low-key think that boys are a big deal. You think that boys are different to girls. You think that boys are, they've got something that girls don't have. You think that they're special. You think that they're hard to get. You think that they're different. It took me getting to 22 and never having had a boyfriend to really sit down and think that, why have I distanced myself from boys in my mind? Like, I've low-key told myself over time that they're over there and I'm over here and we're different, and it's just like there's such a disconnect there. And because there's so much distance, it's now like hard to achieve. Somewhere in your journey, you've told yourself that boys are a big deal and they're very far removed from where you are. For me, it was literally just being at school and having so many other people in relationships, have boyfriends, have girlfriends. Everyone else has got this thing that I haven't got. Like, what am I doing wrong? And the more and more I think about it, the more and more I'm feeding that idea gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then lo and behold, I'm 22 and I think that in my head, for some reason, boys are a big deal, and I didn't realise where that came from until I realised that I've been feeding that idea for years and years and years. Like, as humans, we love a focal point. We can't look at the bigger picture. We just love to focus. For example, you could get 99% on a test. Obviously, you're going to focus on what's that 1% that you got wrong. You could be living your main character best life, romanticizing every single moment. But if you've not had a boyfriend and you've fed that idea enough, you're then going to keep going back to it. Like, what am I doing wrong? Why haven't I had a boyfriend? Should I be going on dating apps? Should I be wearing different things? Should I say different things? Should I be going to coffee shops and like striking up conversations with the barista? Like, you're going to think that you're doing something wrong, when actually you're not doing anything wrong. You're not doing anything wrong in the real world, in your head, but there's a distance. You've distanced yourself from them, thinking that, like, in your head, you think that you're here and they're there. And you think that it's hard to get a relationship because of whatever reason in school has happened. Because you saw so many other people in relationships and you weren't, or because your friends made fun of you and said that you're going to be single forever, and because you believed it, because your parents said that and you believed it. Something's happened as you were younger, and then that idea has been fed and fed and fed, and obviously anything that you feed is going to grow. I think a lot of us, if we hold our hands up and be honest, I think a lot of us fundamentally believe that boys are kind of like different and special. We think that they're like a bit cooler, a bit more confident. Like, boys are not Pinterest. Like, I hate to break it to you, boys have insecurities. They are human. I hate to break it to you, boys are just girls. Boys are very much just girls. They are not special in any single way. Just like you have down days and hate the way you look, hate the way that your hair sits, so do they. Just like you might not shower a couple days in a row because you're not feeling it, you just can't be bothered, so do they. Just like you might have stinky feet after a long day of like walking around in the sun or whatever, so do they. It sounds weird to like humanize them in this way, like bring them back to earth, but you might not have realized that you've done this. Like, you've brought them up and up and up and up into this like weird fantasy, and over time you've believed that that fantasy is what they are, when actually it's not. Like, you've just forgotten to like humanize them. They are not special. They can give you the ick. They probably will give you the ick. I think all it takes is having like a male friend that will, like, you'll speak to you regularly and you'll be like, oh, okay, boys aren't actually that deep. Like, boys aren't actually that special. And I think everyone who's gotten into a relationship, obviously this whole video, I should have said at the start, is very focused on like boy-girl heterosexual relationships, but I guess the same applies for homosexual relationships. I don't really know. Just like you have girlfriends who have flaws, have insecurities, have like human moments, you kind of see girls as human. If you don't have any male friends or male friends that are heterosexual, you're going to see them as like out of this world because they're not in your world. You're going to see them as like completely different and in a different lane. If the only boys you know about and think about and speak to are on Instagram or on Pinterest or in movies, oh my god, this is going to be one of the reasons why you've not had a boyfriend. Because I know for a fact I haven't had any male people in my life for like a really, really long time. My mum and dad aren't together, they're split up, and I'm an only child, I don't have any brothers, don't have any male friends up until recently. All my friends are girls or they're gay. If everyone in my world, say my world was a circle, everyone in it is a girl or like a really like girly person, no one, like, obviously there's gonna be no boys in my world but I can even think could be a boyfriend. So then you just don't even think it's possible because it's not in your world. Like, you have to just think for a minute, if no one in that bubble is a boy that could be a boyfriend, you just don't think it's possible, and then in your head this thing just grows and grows and grows. It grows more. You think that, oh, it's never going to happen, it's never going to happen, but it will. It's not in your world right now. Partly the reason why they might not be in your world is because you've not humanized them enough. Like, the only things that can exist in our world obviously are real human, like authentic things. Like, if you have a fantasy of what a boy is or what a boyfriend is, it's going to be hard to bring it into your world because literally it's not real. And there's a difference between, you know, a fantasy boyfriend and a boy that's just like actually like a gentleman, chivalrous, doing all the right things. That's definitely real and that can exist. I'm not saying that that's a fantasy because it's not. I think that should happen. But it's absolutely a problem when it's like you're looking on Pinterest and Instagram and like TikTok and all these relationship goals and you're thinking that's real, especially if you think that like you're kind of like less than that. Like imagine like if you kind of think of yourself as like looking up to boys and you're not as confident as boys, you're not as cool as boys, and you're looking up to them, obviously that's going to be so hard to bring it into your world and make it happen and get a boyfriend, because technically they'd be looking down on you. Like you don't want anything in your life where you're looking down on them, they're looking up to you. That's not a dynamic that you want. You want to see yourself as equal to these things. That's why you need to humanize them. Like you're a human, they're a human. That's how you can make it work. Whenever I see like a manifestation thing pop up on my TikTok, they're always talking about how you have to like normalize whatever it is you want to manifest. Like that's why it's good to make a vision board or make like a wallpaper for your phone. And similarly, I'm not talking about like manifesting a boyfriend, but if you ever question why, it might be because you just don't see it as normal. One, because it's not in your world, it's not in your circle of people, and also because you've just made them not human in your head. I think it's something that can happen unintentionally. Like you just do it unintentionally. You grow up and you watch movies, you don't speak to boys, you don't see them as real and human, and it just happens in the back of your mind. Like they become less and less real and more fantasy. For example, if you imagine like Christmas gifts, obviously, I'm sure you'll put stuff on your Christmas list that in your head it's like, oh, I can't wait to get these headphones, I can't wait to get a new laptop, I can't wait to get new makeup. There's a moment in time where it's like really exciting and heightened, and then you get it, you love it for a while, for a period of time, and then it just becomes normal. Like everything in your life will eventually go from heightened fantasy to just normal. If you're thinking like, why haven't I had a boyfriend yet? It might be because you're still in that heightened fantasy phase. It's still on your Christmas list. Like, I know that sounds so weird to objectify boys in that way, but if you're still in that heightened fantasy phase, you're not in like the normalized phase yet. And sometimes I think it just takes having like a male friend or just speaking regularly to someone who's male, and like in like a normal friendship way, not in a flirty way at all, but just speaking to them and just humanizing them. Like you don't see them as human yet, you still see them as this fantasy. And I know not everyone is on Pinterest or on Instagram. I don't really use Instagram that much anymore. It's not really my favorite app, but it's just, even if it's not you're looking at boys and relationships on social media, you're kind of fabricating an idea of what you want. You've probably got your ideal relationship in mind, which is good. Honestly, I really believe in this quote that says high standards protect you from low quality experiences in every area of your life. Like high standards are super important, but I just think you can have high standards and normalize high standards in the real world. Like at the minute you might have this high standard thing where you just are thinking in a fantasy way, but you need to have these high standards in like a real world way. I love how I'm preaching as if I've had a boyfriend and I've got a boyfriend now, as if I know what I'm talking about, but I think this video might be helpful for you guys in a similar position where you're also like a Gen Z, or like you're a 20-year-old, 22-year-old person and you've never had a boyfriend, because that is me. Like that is me. I can relate, but I've just realized now like why I understand why that's the case now, and why I was thinking in that way in so long, and why I was like, why don't I have a boyfriend? Like what happened? What am I doing wrong? I'm not doing anything wrong. I was just thinking boys are over there when really they have smelly feet and they're normal. So this was Operation Normalize Boys. Thank you for coming to my millionth TED Talk on my channel now. I hope this video was helpful.